Hello everybody. Coming up next on Scuba Talk, we're going to go over how they visually inspect Scuba Tank. We're going to inspect and visually inspect this scuba cylinder. It's a 80 cubic foot. It's made by Catalina, and that's coming up next on Scuba Talk. We're going to use our silencer. Hopefully it quiets everything down so that we can inspect. Okay? Okay, now that we have all the air drained out, okay, we can go ahead and remove the regulator and the silencer. Okay? Okay. And we get that out of our way. Okay, our next step is to remove the tank valve. I've already loosened the tank valve. And what you don't want to do, you don't want to take your hand and pound on it like this. I've seen people do it. You want to try to take a crescent wrench and you want to put it up against the face of the valve and behind the valve, and you should be able to turn it, okay? These should not be on very tight at all. Okay. Okay, so once we have the valve removed, we want to look and we want to make sure the dip tube is there. Make sure it's still screwed into here. Sometimes you'll hear your dive buddies, you'll hear a rattle inside of this tank. And what that could be is the dip tube has come undone and it's now inside the tank just banging around, okay? So you want to make sure it's on there. You go ahead and you can take the old ring off. Because we're not going to use that no more. Okay, and we want to inspect the threads. Make sure there's no cross threading. Make sure there's no damaged threads whatsoever. Okay, so we're going to look at it real close, kind of give it a good inspection. I always take my thumb, kind of run it over the threads because you can feel if a thread is damaged or if a thread is crossed. Okay, so this looks really good. Okay, so the valve is good. Okay, now we want to take our inspection light, and this is what an inspection light looks like. Okay, and we're just going to turn it on. Okay, and we're going to slide it right down inside here. Okay, and then now we can see in the tube. Now I can't try to do multiple things at once, so if you look up here in the corner, I got some video of when we looked inside this tube, or inside the cylinder here, and you'll see what it shows. This cylinder is in really good shape. If you look on the sides, you can see where it was tumbled at one time, okay? But there is no corrosion whatsoever in this tank. This tank is really clean, really good, okay? So this tank's going to last a while as long as we keep taking care of it. Okay. So we're done with the inspection light. Okay. Now, another thing that you have to be worried about is if the tank keeps getting overfilled, what it can do is it can cause a bump, a hump in the tank, or it can disfigure the tank. With heat, especially here in Southern California on hot days, or people throwing them in their trunks, it gets really hot. Okay, it can disfigure the tank, or really overfilling it. Okay, I know some dive shops, boom, they'll pump this up to 3,400 and then tell you, oh, by the time it cools down, you'll be at 3,000. That does your tank no good. Okay. Also, you'll see people at different dive places. They'll take your tank, they'll put it in a bucket of water, and they'll fill it really fast. Okay, that does your tank no good. And they'll tell you, well, the water is keeping the tank cool. No, it doesn't. The inside of the tank is heating up. Okay, when that air goes in at a really fast rate, it heats up the inside of the tank. Okay, and eventually it'll come to the outside of the tank. However, damage is already being done. Okay, so you want to make sure you go to a reputable place that's going to fill your tank nice and slow. Don't go in there wanting a tank air fill and expecting it done in about 2-3 minutes. When you do that, that's when they're going to jam your tank full. Okay, or if the dive shop's really busy and people are waiting around for their tanks, they're going to jam them. I've seen it happen. They'll fill them up to 3,500 psi and tell you, oh, when it cools down. Well, when it cools down, it's damaging your tank. Your tank is overpressurized. It's not made for that. Okay, so what we want to do for that, and to double check, okay, make sure our tank's not getting disfigured, you want to take a straight edge. Now, this is just a standard ruler. Okay, it's not big enough, as you can see. It's not going to show us a whole lot, right? Because we want to check from the top up here by the crown down toward the bottom. Now, I've also already removed the boot off of this tank. And when you do your viz inspections, make sure you remove the boot. The boot has to come off. Why? Because how many times do we wash that area? Especially if it's on a steel tank, right? We want to make sure no rust is starting from the outside going in, because chances are you've never taken that boot off, okay? And so that's something divers should do, I don't know, a couple times throughout the year, 3-4 times. Remove that boot, wash that area, get that salt out of there, get that seawater out of there, right? Let the tank dry and then put your boot back on, okay? So what I've done is I've taken an old piece of an air conditioning unit. It's got a straight edge on it, right? And it works, because now I can take it and I can put it by the crown here, and I can go all the way down. And what I'm looking for here is daylight. I'm looking to see if it's really curvature. Now, no tank is perfect, okay? But it's not bowed, okay? And that's what we're looking for. And what you do is you just run this all the way around the tank and just check the tank, okay? And once that's done, okay, that's pretty much you have done the visual inspection, okay? Now it's just a matter of taking your valve, taking your O-ring, getting a new O-ring, and you want to get some silicone grease. Now, the stuff I use is made by Trident. I'm not an advocate for Trident company or anything. I don't get paid by Trident. I'm just telling you what I use, okay? And it's a silicone grease, and you just take a little bit. It doesn't need a whole lot, okay? And you just put a little bit on your finger, not a whole lot. Okay, I always rub them with my thumb together like that, get a little bit, and then just take the ring, the O-ring, okay, and just work it around, okay? Again, it doesn't need a lot, okay? Take the valve, put the new O-ring on, okay? And then we're ready. One thing I did forget, and it is kind of important. We checked the threads on the valve, but we haven't checked the threads on the cylinder. Okay, it's important to get you a little mirror. I don't know how much the camera is picking up on this, but you want to get you a little mirror, like a dental mirror, okay? And you just want to take it, and you want to hold it down inside the tank to where it reflects the threads onto the mirror. Then you want to take your flashlight, okay, and you just want to hold on to it, and by working the light, you can see the threads. And you just want to go all the way around. And you want to check those threads. And again, what we're looking for is for any cross threading or damaged threads, okay, that could be there. That's going to stop this valve from seating on there, okay? So make sure you don't forget that part. That is a critical part. I almost forgot about it. But no, you don't want to ever forget that part. That is a critical part. Okay. So now, after we completed that portion, now we're ready to take our valve and to install our valve back onto the tank. Okay. And be careful that you don't cross thread it by sitting. Just let it sit there and slowly turn it to let the threads catch. Okay? And as the threads catch, now we can turn this and we can give it, okay, a really good hand tight, and that's all you need. Close the valve, okay, put your dust cap back on, boom. This tank has been visually inspected, it has passed, okay, and so now if you had a sticker, or if you work for a dive shop, they have their stickers, okay, you could mark this tank as visually inspected, okay, it has been done, okay. That's how dive shops do it, okay, and that's how you visually inspect a tank, okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm ScubaDave at 94, ScubaDave94@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, go ahead and click the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. And thanks for watching today on Scuba Talk.